I invite our Honorary Joint Secretary, Mr. Dilip Narayana, to address the gathering.
Beloved President Nirmala, Chief Guest, Honorable Justice Bechu Thomas, Distinguished District Development Commissioner Chetan Kumar Meena, IAS, CCRRA Founder Advocate Sandhya Raju, Honorary Treasurer Johnson Matthew, Managing Committee members, past presidents, invited guests, and my dear friends. Good evening and warm welcome to the awareness program on prevention of sexual harassment at the workplace. We live during the hinge of history. Famous British philosopher Derek Parfit argued in his very famous 2011 book on what matters. We live in the 21st century, the most significant, the greatest century in which humanity disproportionately influences the long-term future. Yet, even today, we have limited participation of women in the workplace, in workplace and management in various business sectors. Maybe you could find exceptions in healthcare and education. For that matter, in the glorious history of 65 years of Kerala Management Association, Mrs. Nirmala is the second lady president. So we admit and realize that there is a long way to go to ensure equal opportunity in business and industry. Legislations like POSH may give a level playing field for the women workforce. At KMA, we are extremely happy to organize programs like this to sensitize our member organizations. A few months back in August, I read in newspapers that Honorable High Court of Kerala has issued guidelines and directions to the Government of Kerala and CBSE to introduce a prevention-oriented program on sexual abuse in the curriculum from the next academic year. Honorable Justice Sri Bechu Kurian was a judge who delivered this important direction. It is such a poetic justice that Sri Bechu Kurian is our chief guest today. On behalf of the managing committee and all those assembled here, let me extend a hearty welcome to our chief guest. For this August audience of Kochi, there is no need for an elaborate introduction of our chief guest, a very familiar face in the fraternity. We are immensely privileged to have you today here at KMA House. And at KMA, we acknowledge the role played by the apex courts of India in pushing the envelope to ensure diversity and inclusion in the workplace. We are glad to know that a dedicated officer is there in place to ensure the compliance of POSH in our area. I'm delighted to welcome a young and dashing civil servant, Sri Chetan Kumar Meena, IAS, District Development Commissioner, who is in charge of POSH. At KMA, you know, we rarely get such young and dynamic speakers. We consider to be an old man's place. Hearty welcome, sir. We are happy to associate with the Center for Constitutional Rights, Research and Advocacy to organize this awareness program. Let me extend a warm welcome to Advocate Sandhya Raju, Founder Director of CCRRA, a well-known social activist. Once again, extending a warm welcome to this great full house of audience. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dilip, for that nice warm welcome address. Honorable Justice, High Court of Kerala, Mr. Bechu Kurian Thomas, District Development Commissioner, Ernakulam, Mr. Chetan Kumar Meena, IAS, Founder and Managing Director of Center for Constitutional Rights Research and Advocacy, Advocate Sandhya Raju, Vice Chairman CSR Forum Committee, Dilip Narayanan, Treasurer Johnson Matthews, Executive Committee members, past President I can see, and all Managing Committee members, and our Kerala Management Association, our own members, and invited guests, students, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, warm welcome to each and every one of you. POSH, Prevention, Prohibition, and Protection from Sexual Harassment in the Workplace. POSH training has been compulsory in India since 2013 when the Act was passed. It is mandatory to have ICC internal committee. I am also part of this as external committee. So whenever I speak to some of the corporates, they say, no, that's not required here. But it is mandatory to have, irrespective of the gender, and even if it is small or big, if there are 10 members working in an organization, you must have a ICC, that is an internal complaint committee. It is mandatory. Not only can non-complaints to POSH result in fines up to rupees 50,000, but they can also lead to a cancellation of the business license. Moreover, a harassment complaint, if left unaddressed, can have severe adverse repercussions. The global 16 days of activism against gender-based violence against women and girls is an international campaign, organizing from the first Women's Global Leadership Institute in 1991. It continues to coordinated each year by the Center for Women's Global Leadership. It is used as an organizing strategy by individuals and an organization around the world to call for the prevention and elimination of violence against women and girls. The dates for the campaign were chosen to link violence against women and human rights. This was done to emphasize that gender-based violence against women is a violation of human rights. The 16 days campaign has been active between November 25th, the International Day of Violence Against Women, and December 10th, International Human Rights Day. The purpose of the campaign is also to raise awareness at the local, regional, national, and international levels. In support of this civil society initiative, in 2008, the United Nations Secretary General launched a campaign, Unite by 2030, to end violence against women and girls, which runs parallel to the 16 days of activism. So 2008 and 2030, we can hope that everything will be in. Every year, the Unite campaign focuses on a specific theme. This year's theme is Unite Activism to End Violence Against Women and Girls. To talk more about this, we have blessed to have a judge, an IAS officer, and an advocate. So it is better to listen to them rather than myself talking to you like this. Okay. And it is also my pleasant task to introduce these dignitaries. Honorable Justice Mr. Bechu Kurian Thomas is currently a Kerala High Court judge. He is the son of former Supreme Court Judge Mr. K.T. Thomas, who was awarded the Padma Bhushan by the Indian government in 2007. It is my pleasure to mention that. Justice Mr. Bechu Kurian completed his undergraduate course from Government Law College, Ernakulam, passed out securing first rank in the university. Yes. He did his post-graduation from the College of Law, York Law School. Sir has an amazing career record throughout. He shifted to Ernakulam in 1995 and started practicing in various courts, including Supreme Court of India. In 1997, he received British Council's Chevening Scholarship. He started his office, Bechu, Kurian and Company, at Ernakulam in 1998. Sir served as law reporter for Kerala Law Journal from 1997 to 2002. He was the standing counsel for Kerala University from 2014 to 2015. In 2015, he was designated as senior advocate by Kerala High Court. In 2020, he became a justice of the High Court of Kerala. We are indeed honored to have you as the chief guest. Mr. Chetan Kumar Meena IAS, District Development Commissioner, Ernakulam. Mr. Chetan Kumar Meena was born and brought up in Jaipur, Rajasthan. Finished his education at IIT Karanpur, currently working as a District Development Officer at Ernakulam. Before that, he was a former sub-collector of Kollam, Palakkad and Tiruvalla. Yes. Mr. Chetan also worked as an inspector in the Income Tax Department. When Sandhya and I were invited by him to discuss about the awareness program of POSH, then I requested him to please do come and address on 30th of November, which he readily agreed. Thank you so much for your kind presence. Advocate Sandhya Raju is a founder and managing director of CCRRA, Center for Constitutional Rights Research and Advocacy. She finished her schooling from Kendriya Vidyalaya and did her undergraduation at National Law School, Bangalore. She worked as director at HRLN, that is Human Rights Law Network, Kerala. She has also been an associate lawyer of Majlis, Mumbai. This is this initiative, actually, it's a joint initiative between CCRA and KMA. I would like to thank Advocate Sandhya for the cooperation support. Yes, we are indeed privileged and honored to have brilliant dignitaries with us to give awareness of today's program on POSH Act. May I invite Chief Guest of the Day, Mr. Bechu Thomas, to deliver your keynote address.
Thank you for those nice words. President of the Kerala Management Association and this function, Ms. Nirmala, the dashing Chetan Kumar Meena, the Development Commissioner of the district, the vibrant Sandhya Raju, Director of CCRA, the Honorary Secretary, Joint Secretary, Mr. Dilip Narayan, and the Honorary Treasurer, Johnson Matthew. Very friendly faces in the audience, and my young friends. At the outset, let me thank the organizers of this function for inviting me here. I just glanced at the names of the presidents hanging over the right side of this stage of my hand. Most of them are known to me, and I have been traveling through the front of this building for the last 22 years, at least 4 times a day. But still, I've never been able to step into this. This is the first time I've been given the privilege and the opportunity to step into this organization and this building, and this wonderful building. Thank you very much, Nirmala, and the organizers. I was wondering what prompted the organizers to invite me here. It just was blurted out by Nirmala. I passed a judgment directing the state government and the CBI and the CBSE to create a curriculum from the academic year 2023-24 onwards to impart sexual awareness on the children, about the children, to the schools. It was to an extent, the thought was a spur of the moment decision. I gave opportunities to the state and the CBSE and to other NGOs like the Kerala State Legal Service Authority and another NGO called Dilse and the law student to address their arguments. Why I refer to that here now is with a purpose. In my 28 years of practice as a lawyer, I've never come across instances of sexual abuse which I came across in the last 6 months. From 2-year-olds to 79-year-olds, no girl or women are spared. The predators lurking around all of us, finding out momentary opportunities to overpower you, to commit sexual abuse on you. And 95% of the time, they go unreported. The children, the women, and even the boys, they're unaware that there is an opportunity for them to report these acts. It is this facet of our life called awareness which prompted me to initiate a decision to make awareness a necessity in our school curriculum. Within 2 days, in fact, in the judgment I mentioned about one Erin Merrin, I just happened to come across that issue, and I mentioned in the judgment, there is a law called Erin's law in the United States. That law has been accepted in 37 out of 52 states in the US. It was initiated by a girl by the same name who was abused from the age of 7 to 12, and she did not have the courage to rise up and report it. Practically every week she was being abused by a neighbor. Much later, she gained the courage and she worked to have a law being created. My daughter is now studying in US. Without even knowing any of these things, she told me the first 1 week, and she's doing her LLM, first 1 week was spent by the university entirely on sexual awareness classes. That is the importance that they are imparting to the sexual awareness. Why? The reason is awareness is what is required. Awareness can create a change, not only on the women or the woman who is being abused or the child who is being abused, but the awareness can bring in a change on the predator who's lurking all around you. Wherever you go, forget the schools, in the workplaces. In the workplaces, women were being subjected to severe sexual abuse all these years. There was a total vacuum until Supreme Court decided enough is enough. The legislature has not acted in spite of Article 42 and 51A of the Constitution. The legislature has never stepped in, and we are going to step in, and Supreme Court directed in the case popularly called as a Vishada's case, and directed certain guidelines to be implemented until legislature steps in with the law. This decision in 1997 made a sea change in the attitude towards working women. As you all know, the number of working women in our country in 1990
and in 2022 has undergone a sea change. I'm certain, in fact, I've said this in another earlier occasion also. In the next 10 years, women are going to control practically every institution of our country. The power of a woman is so immense, and the brain is created in such a way they can multitask. It is accepted by the doctors that they have the ability to multitask. They can manage the family, they can manage the workplace, they can manage everything. They can manage their husband, they can manage their children, which the males are not endowed with. It is a factor which we have to accept. So women are going to enter into every facet of our life, in the business, in the professions, in every workplace. But the men always has a feeling that they are more powerful. It is a physical attribute which men think to themselves, that patriarchal notion that is going to undergo a sea change. But in that process, women must be endowed with the strength to resist the temptation of men to assault them physically, mentally, and in every other manner. It is here that after the Supreme Court's prodding and prompting, that legislature finally stepped in with this act called POSH Act, which otherwise is Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplaces, Prevention and Prohibition, 2013. One of the important facets, I'm sure that the other speakers are going to speak about the act, but one of the important aspects of the POSH Act is that it has a process of settlement also. Every industry, every establishment, every department, every institution is bound to have an internal complaints committee. A complaint to that committee may be a person, what I felt is that maybe a person who has a lascivious thought or a tendency to deviate from normal human behavior, go back into the basic instincts, can always be warned by virtue of a settlement. A complaint is given by the girl to the internal committee, and it need not go beyond control. If the man or if the abuser is willing to agree to a settlement, he can be warned and a settlement can be in writing arrived at. The importance of the settlement is that he will be bound by the terms of it. So on the first deviation itself, he is not taken to the police, he is not complained or he is not harassed, but he is warned. And if he does not abide by the terms of the settlement, then an opportunity is again available to the abused to go to the police. This, I feel, is a very significant thing, especially when many a times we may feel that one deviation we can ignore, not the second one. That warning would always act as a deterrent. Ultimately, the criminal jurisprudence, the purpose of criminal jurisprudence is deterrence, along with reformation. This act, I feel, is beautifully thought out, well drafted, and has implications of reformation and deterrence included in it. I think this is a wonderful initiative by the CCRA and the Kerala Management Association to generate awareness in the institutions. Most of the institutions don't have this internal complaints committee, which is mandated by law. I know several institutions. In the last week also, when I said that I've been invited for a program, I said, what is this internal complaints committee? Many of them are not aware about the necessity to have a complaints committee, an internal complaints committee. So this awareness is essential, not only to deter, but also to reform the individual as well as the institution. I officially declare this meeting as open and wish the program and the organizers and everyone here all the best. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, Bechu, Kurian Thomas, and that is really a lot of information has been shared. And that's a good news is 10 years from now, women are going to take over all facets of life. That's a good thing. Yes, we will, isn't it? And there's been a lot of things that you have shared, sir. And thank you for insisting to have the ICC in every organization, because it's very difficult to make them understand. Okay. And now I request guest of honor, Mr. Chetan Kumar Meena to address us.
Honorable Justice Sri Bechu Kurian Thomas, Judge, Honorable High Court of Kerala, AMA President Mrs. L. Nirmala, Advocate Sandhya Raju, Director CCRRA, Honorary Joint Secretary Mr. Dilip Narayanan, Honorary Treasurer KMA Sri Johnson Matthew. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to address this August gathering. So actually recently we had one meeting in collectorate, and I invited many corporate and other organizations to discuss the issues which are having with POSH Act. And we have discussed these things in detail, and like as Honorable just said that most of the institutions are not having ICC. The one act is very clear. Act is giving immense opportunity to deal these conflicts at your level. But still, we can see like whenever any such issue happens, directly it is coming to police. It is not being reported to your institution. And then your image is also going. It may be false later on. That allegation may be false. But because there is no system in your institution, that's why it is directly coming to the police. So the need of hour is to establish ICC, and rules are very clear. Act is very clear. Any institution which is having more than 10 employees, this should have a mandatorily one ICC. If you are having four, different your offices, then you should have four independent ICCs. Each your office should have independent ICC. It's not like if your company is big, you are having one like parent ICC. It's not like that. Every campus should have ICC. And why ICC is needed? Because it's our duty. It's a duty of employer to provide enabling and inclusive environment to the women employees. So my request is those who are from you are all from different organizations. Please constitute internal complaint committee. Then there are another provisions also where like your total number of employees are more than less than 10, then there is provision of local complaint committee. Okay, so that committee will be constituted by a district officer. So here district collector is the district officer, so that committee is also there. But main issue is that people are not having awareness. We don't know, like nobody knows in your office also like where to do complaint, how to do, whom to approach. So this act is very clear. Act is saying that you should paste all the information in open space in your building. You put these are the members, this is the chairperson, and this is the way to get the complaint, and this is the way to maintain the secrecy. This is also very important thing. After inquiry, that matter may go to, if matter is serious, this may go to police or some at another level. But until that matter can be settled at internal level, that secrecy has to be maintained. So this is a even better opportunity for your institutions also. You can settle your matters there. You can take your own steps. Even if if the complaint is not genuine or someone is giving false evidences, you have ICC is having enough power to take action against that employee also. So there is no need to fear even among male also. If it is not genuine, then that complaint, those who are doing complaint, they will face the consequences. So this is my request that you please constitute this committee in your all organizations, in your all setups, and hopefully everything will be resolved at your level. If things are not happening, then it will go to another level. Even let's say if some complaint is against your employer, then this complaint will go to direct local complaint committee. That is district level committee is there. And annually you have to prepare your report, and that report has to be forwarded to state government, so that state government can analyze that report and can make some policy decisions based on that. But those data are not coming to state, so a lot of things are missing. Even I would like to the Honorable High Court also, sir, there is one provision, penal provision, but we don't know how to implement it. Those who are not constituting this internal committee, or they are not performing this committee as per the prescribed law, then there is 50,000 rupees penalty provision. If it is happening again, then it has to be multiplied. But we don't know how to implement it. Like no particular department is given the responsibility. We have requested state government many times, our departments, to give some clear direction or issue some notification वगैरह, so that responsibility can be fixed on officer also. Now our officers are going into the organizations, but as we don't have any power, we have power, but we don't know who will implement that provision. So we are not able to take any, decision against that institute. But even this is not our purpose. Even this is your responsibility. This is your social responsibility to constitute this committee. If it is not happening, then hopefully some mechanism will be established. Then government will take strict actions. But this is very much mandatory. So this is the only from my part. Honorable Judge already elaborated many things. And again, I would like to thank all the organizers and thank you so much.
Thank you, Chetan, for having on ICC, since of having that ICC committee and the consequences. And with this, I would like to invite Advocate Sandhya Raju for her address.
Good evening, everyone. Honorable dignitaries on the dais and dear friends. At the outset, I would really like to welcome and thank the proactive approach of the Kerala Management Association, especially Nirmala ma'am, because this period, as she had said earlier, November 25th to December 10th is basically observance of violence against women fortnight. It's a UN mandated observance period where we talk about gender-based violence and how to kind of work against it. And we know that gender-based violence, there are different kinds of gender-based violence, of which sexual harassment is one. And she was so proactive, she said, we will do it. And I'm also part of the local complaints committee. So we had had a small meeting with Mr. Chetan, the District Development Commissioner, where we had representatives of various heads of associations, like the Architecture Association, the Info Park and Kerala Management Association, to kind of see how we can take this forward. And Sir was so proactive, he said, please call me, I will come. Just let me know, because just to kind of put forward the government's intention to work strongly on addressing sexual harassment at work. So the theme for this year is basically unite, and we have the judiciary, and we have the government, and we have the corporate representation and the NGO representation really wanting to work together to end sexual harassment at workplace, or at least create awareness, because it will not end overnight, as we all know. One of the main reasons why the act, as Sir had said, Vishaka's case was the main reason why this act came into place. And actually, the judiciary has played a very proactive role in kind of bringing this into fore and taking some kind of action. 97 Vishaka judgment came, and it was only in 2013 that the act came into place, So just look at the time period it took for just the legislation to come. And so we have a lot to look forward from the judiciary. Now, why Vishaka came in, if I can just mention, was one of the incidents where this lady, Bhavri Devi in Rajasthan, who is a social worker who was campaigning against child marriage. She got raped while during her work, and the social activists, they went to court saying that we are working. There are women who are working like this, and if they have to be constantly be worried about sexual harassment or sexual assault, then women are not really going to come into the work sphere. And this is actually gender discrimination, and it's against gender equality also. It's discrimination against women, and the courts understood that, courts accepted that. We were also signatories to CEDAW, that was during that time, Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. So, the creativity of the courts to actually accept it and mold a relief and lay down guidelines, I feel is something really powerful. And that 97 Vishaka actually gave so much of confidence to a lot of women, and it kind of gave a right to women to demand for a institution, because complaints committee, the word complaints committee actually came through the judgment, and it made women really as a right you could ask for this complaints committee in at least all government establishments and universities. And then there were subsequent judgments which said that even private establishments have to set up complaints committee. It is only through the act that we have this internal complaints committee and the local complaints committee. So that said, one of the key aspect of sexual harassment, as even nowadays, if you see, there is a lot of reluctance of families to send women to workspaces which require women to work late in the night. I remember when I started practicing, my parents used to worry, even if it was in the dark, 7:30, don't stay late in the dark. There are other considerations also, but one of the primary considerations was, safety. Are you really safe? Are you really safe at your workplace? Are you really safe while you're traveling back to work? That was the consideration. But today, if you look at it, 2022, you find women working late in the night, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Especially lawyers' work is quite hectic that way. And if you look at software industries, you have women working late. BPO industry, you have women working late. Though maybe the numbers may be less, but women are because why do they feel that? Because there is a kind of confidence. Okay, the company which I am working in will be ensuring a safety for me. That is why places where women are working late, they feel confident. But not all establishments have that confidence. And that's precisely why the Act very clearly says that all establishments, all institutions have to have an internal complaints committee, irrespective of how many women are working there. The key aspect of the Act, if you look at it, one is the definition of sexual harassment, then who is an aggrieved person, who are the employers, who are the employees, what is the constitution of the complaints committees, who all will come under that, and what is the redressal. But it is not just that, it also makes some responsibilities on the institutions where it is mandated that you have to have constant training, because prevention is one of the key factors of this Act. Prevention and prohibition and then redressal. It is like that. So prevention is the first thing. So it's not as if that just because you have an internal complaints committee, that means that a lot of cases, there would be a lot of cases, and we'll be flooded with sexual harassment cases, and then it will be very difficult to work. No, one of the main objectives of the internal complaints committee is to ensure that people know what sexual harassment is, have constant training, so that people are sensitized about what amounts to sexual harassment. It is basically creating a code of conduct so that people understand that this amounts to sexual harassment, because we are living in a very open culture, and there's a lot of freedom, but the freedom Some may like it, some may not like it, some may welcome it, some may not welcome it. So there is a lot of misunderstandings also. And there are a lot of these myths also which circulate through our films and the popular media uh, picturizations where stalking is considered as you consider stalking as part of romance, or forcibly sexually forcibly hugging someone is considered as affection and things like that, or you're not really looking at whether this person likes it or not. And so these are also misconceptions which are generated through the media, and people misconstrue it. So very clearly, if you understand what sexual harassment is, and if you understand that the whatever action which is uncomfortable for the woman, it is sexually, it sound it because all of us know what good touch and bad touch is. So if that bad touch is uncomfortable for the woman, it is no. So understanding that hugging or being very casual, for some people it may be okay, for some people it may not be okay. It depends upon the culture which you come from. Now in government offices it's okay, very clearly those lines are demarcated. But let's say if you look at a new age company, again the lines are not very clear. So many women who are working there may not really understand, should I accept this? Should I not accept this? If I accept this, if I object to it, will I face consequences? There are certain things. Now, also, you may have instances where there is this boss who is insisting that you come to work late in the night, and she's not comfortable with it because she feels that he's already made sexual advances to her in the private and in the private conversations, and she feels that the motive is not okay, and she is objecting to it. She doesn't know where to object, and if she has this internal, if she knows that this establishment has an internal complaint, she can actually complain to it. So very clearly, sexual harassment is defined. Sexual harassment workplace is defined. So if the employees know that this establishment has this, and I know I can redress it. I know there is an opportunity or there is a place where I can talk about it. Then half the situation is kind of controlled. We can solve. We can immediately do something to stop that kind of violence. Stop some kind of escalation, and that is the importance of this act. We as organization, we had conducted a random survey about the establishment of ICCs and what employees, whether employees really know about the existence of ICCs, and what ICC is about, especially in shops in Lulu and shops in the roads, like supermarkets where there are more than 10 employees. And we were surprised to know that the people who are working at the ground level did not really know that there should be an ICC, though the management may have an ICC. So it is mandated that all employees should know that there is an ICC. These are the members, these are the contact numbers, and it should be publicly displayed. That is the mandate of the act. So that mandate has to be ensured all over, wherever there are establishment, whichever establishment has 10 or more employees. 10 or more employees, employer-employee relationship. Where there are less than 10, you can approach the local complaints committee, which is at the district collector. And now we have a local complaints committee in all the districts. We have local complaints committee in all the districts. There's a district officer. But when as a member, when we are organizing these, when we have these hearings, we realize that people, establishments which have more than 10 members also are actually coming to us, because either they don't know that there is an ICC in their establishment, or they have the establishment has not set up ICC, especially hospitals. Especially hospitals are one sector where we've got complaints, and it seems that though the management has an ICC, the people at that level, especially nurses or the staff, they don't know about the existence of an ICC or whom to approach, But the Act is very clear that you need to have an ICC for where there are more than 10 members, right? Now, what is sexual harassment? Everyone knows sexual harassment, what it is. The thing is, we also have to understand that sexual harassment is basically if the action is sexually tinged and if the person who's receiving it does not like it. That's very clear. It depends upon the intent of it doesn't depend upon the intent of the harasser. It depends upon what the victim feels. So it's a hug or a touch which is uncomfortable. It may be visible to everyone, but the person receiving it may like it, may not like it, and she says that I did not like it. That means there is some problem and action needs to be taken, or this person needs to be warned. If that is understood, then at the conciliation level itself, as sir said, at the first level itself, this can be sorted out. You can speak to that person, say that she did not like it, and this is what. So he might say, I did not understand. I did not think that this would be like that. I did not think that she would, take it as an issue, and we can sort it off at that level. If suppose she does not want to sort it off at that level, okay, we can have an inquiry. Now, sir was talking, Mr. Chetan was talking about false complaints. The thing is, it's not a question of false complaints also. The thing is, no one needs to be afraid. The internal complaints committee has to conduct the inquiry, and the inquiry has to go through a process of natural justice. And when you're talking about natural justice means the other person also has to be heard. The other person also has to be given information about this is the complaint. So a proper inquiry has to be held. Now, a lot of people do not understand what an inquiry is or what principles of natural justice is. As lawyers, we will know, but the complaints committee members will also need to understand that you cannot unilaterally decide that, okay, this person is guilty, this person is not guilty, or she is making a false complaint. So it is those guidelines definitely have to be understood by the people who are heading the internal complaints committee. That process is very important, because if the process is correct, then the person who is the victim also feels comforted, okay, an inquiry, a correct inquiry has been held. Otherwise, it will go ahead. Now, the thing is, if a proper inquiry has not been conducted and the person is held guilty, just imagine he will go on appeal, and the courts will definitely send back the complaint. Why? Because the process of natural justice has not been followed. And what is going to happen? The victim is going to feel even more upset. So this process of natural justice, which we take it very casually, that is something which we have to really strictly adhere to. And there are we need to just understand that, okay, we need to, the other person needs to be given a chance to hear. So there is no, we are not targeting a person unnecessarily. That is the purpose of the inquiry. No one needs to feel that I am being accused unfairly. And if suppose the lady feels that this has happened, but the person who has actually who has done that action has felt that I did not intend to do anything like that, it's mostly a question of trying to sensitize and making that person understand that this kind of behavior is not acceptable. So this can happen in a very confidential manner within the premises of the company itself, and it will not go outside. And most companies are really worried. That's what I felt, that most establishments, most institutions are afraid, including universities, they're afraid to have an internal complaints committee or set up an internal complaints committee, because they feel that a lot of people will come and put false complaints, and then we will be flooded with it. But it's not like that. As women who are there, who are actually sitting in the audience, you will know, we all know that no woman will just chumma go file a complaint, especially relating to sexual assault, just for the sake of publicity. No woman will do that. It's not easy to even talk about sexual assault. I mean, even to kind of the complaints which we hear, they might not even be able to tell this is the kind of sexual assault which I have faced. You know, that is the level that is the thing which all of us we need to understand. And when we say zero tolerance to sexual violence, zero tolerance to sexual harassment, when a company decides to take that kind of goal in their institutional setup, that we have zero tolerance to sexual violence, just that word itself makes it comfortable for the women employees there, that okay, I will have a safe atmosphere at this place. And the commitment and the aspiration to work there becomes even more easier, and they will put in whatever effort they can, whatever effort it is for. The other things, I mean, this is one part of the entire work capability. So, so like as I said, internal complaints committee, mostly the members should be at least, most of the members in that internal complaints committee, minimum 5, at least should be more than at least 5 more women, and one person, an external member, usually a person from the non-governmental organization, who will act as a neutral person, neutral person. So there is a semblance of neutrality in this entire procedure. For local complaints committee, again, you have a senior, a woman, a chairperson is usually a woman from an NGO who put in a lot of years of practice, a lot of years in social work. She is the chairperson. Then there is the district women protection officer and the district officer. The women of the women officer in the women and child department, and other representatives were part of the local complaints committee. So women from the unorganized sector, who do not come within the like domestic workers or construction workers, they can come to the local complaints committee if they face any issue from anyone while or during their workspace. So we have a local complaints committee, you know. So if people should not feel that there is no local complaints committee at the district level. So there are these systems there. It's not, so just the existence of a system is one level of confidence booster, is my feeling. It's like, you know, we have the Domestic Violence Act, we have the rape laws, we have death penalties and things like that. But women, many women feel just satisfied, okay, you know, if I get assaulted, I know that the rapist will get death penalty, can get death penalty. It's not necessary that she has to be raped to go approach the court. Just the fact that, you know, oh, okay, the law says that. It's something like that, you know. And those women who really want to approach, it is making it more comfortable for her to approach the system so that it is redressed. Only if it is redressed, she will feel confident. You know, so you have the internal complaints committee, you have the local complaints committee, and there is a mandate. If suppose institutions do not really follow that, now the government is actually trying to strengthen this, because a fine is imposed of 50,000 rupees, which though it's just the department, it is just the administrative concern as to where the fine will go. I think that they will sort it off, but this is something which we need to understand. So what I want to say is that sexual harassment at workplace, I think companies and establishments should not feel afraid of it. It is something which is just like any other inquiry authority. The inquiry, people who are heading the inquiry authority should take it seriously and work and do it according to the proper rules. And you don't have to fear anything, because most people do not want to do it only because they fear the law. I don't think there is anything to fear the law. Law is there to help only. Law is not there to attack someone. So that is something which we need to understand. And as students, and as because there are a lot of students who are also here, they also need to understand that it's something that's mandatory that whichever establishment you go, it needs to be there. And even in your universities, it should be there. So that's all. If you have any questions, we can definitely answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandhya, for mentioning everything about ICC and the definition and everything. See, maybe I think we can request members if you have questions, especially students furthest from majority from SCMS College. The students, I'm sure that you must be having some doubts, right? Some questions anybody has got? One or two questions only. Do you have anybody? Yeah, you have a question.
My question is with Sanjay Raju. The harassment at workplace means in the political parties also. So what you are going to do? They say that the party will take the action. Then it will sit there for 6 months, 1 year, and then what the people can do.
No, so that's fair because members working there can approach the local complaints committee in case there's an issue like that. So there are people who have come who have approached, but it is not excluded. Political parties.
What is the local committee? Party people?
No, it's not party people. That's what I was trying to explain earlier. Local complaints committee is part of the government. It is headed by a woman social worker, and we have all the members of the government also part of it. So they can approach the local complaints committee for dealing with this.
Over and apart from the normal laws. Have the normal laws also. So the local committee also does that.
Just one question. See, getting women in the workforce to be aware of the complaints.
Be aware of the complaints is one thing. That's the easy part. The awareness creation is all right. But what do you do to instill confidence in the women that once they do step forward and it's a goldfish bowl, everyone by tomorrow, everyone knows what's happening. So is there any work being done to enhance confidence in approaching?
The thing is, so that's where confidentiality is again a mandate. The company cannot or the ICC cannot reveal the details about it to anyone. It has this entire process, the confidential process, nothing has to go out. So that is something which the company will have to ensure, maybe have the inquiry in some other place or the woman's name cannot be revealed, the abuser's name also cannot be revealed, the woman can be given leave. All those mechanisms we have to do it, but it will have to be according to the company culture and company specific. That's why every company is supposed to have an internal complaints committee within their own, premises. It is difficult. I understand what you're saying. It's difficult.
It also becomes a lot more complex when it becomes a boss to, a lady reporting to a man, and the man is a boss and he holds your promotion in his hands.
That's also one of the grounds. That's one of the grounds for the company. If your promotion is dependent upon a sexual favor, or if some action is being initiated against you, that is an implied or explicit promise of preferential treatment in her employment. Implied or explicit threat of detrimental treatment in her employment. Implied or explicit threat about the present or future employment status. All these can be circumstantial sexual. There is an implied or explicit threat of some preferential treatment for you, provided you give some sexual favor. Then that itself is a sexual harassment. So it's a very widely termed statute. And you can even transfer you can request the transfer for herself or a transfer for the abuser. You can even seek for a leave for 3 months. An abused woman can seek, or a sexually harassed woman can say, I don't want to come to the office for the next 3 months. The employer is bound to give. by the statute itself. It is provided. There are a lot of protective mechanisms. The only thing what I felt is that is a lack of awareness. Once the awareness steps in, you will start raising complaints. And this infuses, as she said, Sandhya said, this will start infusing confidence into you. Once you get confident, what happens? The entire work atmosphere changes. And the company will become more productive. The individual will become more productive to the company. So it is in the interest of the company itself. These complaint companies are set up and women are given the confidence to come up and complain. Why do you even worry? Why do you apprehend when you complain? You will be subject to ridicule. No, times have changed now. You will be looked upon as a brave person. It's time that we step out.
kind of comes to mind.
It's time that we step out. The new generation is going to step out and complain. And I'm sure that most of the men nowadays, is a younger generation, is proud that they have a friend who is strong enough to rise up and object to sexual harassment. That is the feeling that we should start infiltrating to everyone around. Be bold enough to complain. I just when Sandhya spoke, I've been reading every day. I'm reading complaints by 10-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 2-year-olds. And one of the often quoted reason is I scolded her for carrying a mobile. I scolded her for talking to a toy. That is the reason for the complaint. She said, this thought keeps coming into my mind. Would any girl unnecessarily raise a sexual allegation against the close relation? So what she said actually threw some light into my doubts all these months. And I gather over a period of few months and complain. They also want girls, 12-year-old. Type of harassment is what I just read. Nothing serious, but it is still a sexual harassment. She spoke to a close friend, spoke to her brother, spoke to somebody in the family. Who is the person that got. Then she gathered the knowledge from the teacher. She got the confidence from the teacher. And the man is now behind the bars. So it is only a matter of time when you start getting confidence and step forward to complete.
I've got two questions actually. One is regarding POSH and how does it work the other way around? Because when there's a woman in a position of power in a company who is asking sexual favors from one of her employees, does that take that into consideration? If yes, I think that's an even more difficult situation for a young man to file a complaint against a woman because it's pretty embarrassing and it doesn't happen as much. So that's one question. And the second thing is, I would like you, if you could explain a little bit to us, what is the connection between sexuality education in schools and sexual harassment in the workplace? How do you feel that by giving sexuality education in schools will help once it comes to the workplace?
For your first question, I think the Act doesn't contemplate sexual harassment by a woman on a man.
Or from woman to woman, lesbian? Does that happen? I mean, it happens obviously, but does it take that into consideration? That would be interesting.
The thing is, you mean the act is very it's heterosexual. It's not again women and man, but the man in the employer's position. But the thing is, many companies have innovatively tried to make it their policy gender neutral and have used the mechanism of ICC to deal with an inquiry, but it will not come under the act. So that.
harassment to give.
So maybe that's something that you could change.
That's a good point. But yesterday one case came to me where a 17-year-old boy was sexually harassed by a 41-year-old lady for months. So this is happening now. And as you said it, woman to woman, yes, I have a feeling that it's a matter which will have to be decided in some case. Because sexual harassment means physical contact advances against a woman. So it can be from a woman also. It's a perception we have to decide. And the second is awareness. School is the first point. Your culture develops from school. If you start creating sexual awareness from the school days, as you grow, as you reach the workplace, when you start working, this will be there in your mind. You will avoid all these things. It helps. It's a culture. It's a culture that you develop. We have been probably living over the last several centuries, decades, thinking that women will not react if you make a sexual advance. And that's actually all these persons who are sexual predators are basically cowards. They feel that nobody will react. The moment they start reacting, or they realize that somebody will react, there's an opportunity for them to react, then they will start pertaining their basic instincts. So I feel that sexual awareness in schools will pave the way for the future kids, future citizens to behave properly.
Thank you so much. I think no more questions. Students? If she has a question. Last question.
Yes. We assume that the committee, the perpetrator is the boss. That is, so who will consider the committee and who will take decisions? So, don't you think that will be biased?
The ICC is not, the boss is not the head of the ICC. It is an independent body, but the chairperson is the senior most woman member of the employee of the company.
There needs to be two, apart from the chairman, there's the chairperson, there should be two other women.
Two other
So
women.
the chairperson would be a woman, then two other women in the committee,
Okay.
And also can be.
and an external.
And that is an advantage of it.
Not necessarily. Then I think last question. Okay, last question from a student. I guess student wanted to ask a question. Can you just speak out?
Respected guests, I have a question. Like, since I'm coming from a college, how can you make this internal control committee more strong in colleges and universities?
That college is responsible.
You're asking your director.
Yes, he's sitting there and he can answer. That is exactly what we were discussing about. So maybe after this, everybody will feel the importance of having a complaint committee and it will reinforce, isn't it? Mr. Pramod, yes. That answer, it's already been given. And
The internal complaints committee of the university or of the colleges should also have student representation in the complaints committee and senior most women teacher of your institution. You'll have to follow the UGC guidelines on having this committee. So there also it's the same process. It is there. The thing is the university should have the will to deal with it in a proper manner to ensure that there is a fair inquiry. So that is important. But there is the mandatory thing is that there has to be student representation also.
thank you so much. It was really nice to have this interaction. A lot of points came out and a lot of examples, and even we have mentioned about Vaishnaga case as well. So I'm sure that all are enriched with the information that you have got, and you will go back and If you don't have formed an ICC, definitely I'm sure that you are going to form one. And an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Benjamin Franklin gives us this eloquent quote, and I don't think he could have envisioned the modern workplace and the role safety would play in it. So therefore, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. With these words, so I'm inviting our treasurer to propose vote of thanks.
Chief guest of the day, Honorable Justice Mr. Bechu Thomas, Judge High Court of Kerala. Mr. Chetan Kumar Meena IAS, District Development Commissioner Ernakulam. Advocate Sandhya Raju, Director CCRRA, President of KME, Honorary Joint Secretary, Managing Committee members, other members of KME, invited guests, and future managers. In fact, we had a very interesting, lively discussion today on this POSH Act. If you look at this POSH Act that came into existence almost 10 years back, and you can always assess where it stands now. We spoke about the coverage issues like minimum, there has to be 10 employees. Then everyone spoke about the importance of creating awareness. In fact, on that point, I want to emphasize the organization where I work. We did an awareness session. That is basically an online awareness program. That was almost for 1 hour. And then this entire awareness session was, we recorded it. And then we are again, sending it to employees once in 3 months' time. So that continuously, because new people also come into the organization. So we need to constantly educate our employees and create that awareness. What all things come under the purview of this. So that's working reasonably well, but again, a cultural shift has to happen in the corporate world, in our education institutions, in all social bodies. We need to create awareness. And another important thing was, Madam was telling me, zero tolerance. If an institution says it is going to be zero tolerance, I think it will create a higher impact. People will take it very seriously. So maybe all these thoughts we can consolidate and take it forward. And another point which I want to emphasize is, usually a complaint, there's a time frame of 3 months. Within 3 months, it has to be launched. Otherwise, the validity is not there. I'm sure it was very informative and useful. Our success lies in not only understanding, sharing it in our place, maybe in our institution, maybe in the industry where we work, or in the social frame which we operate. We need to share it with others and create that awareness and take it forward. I'm sure all of us will take it in that direction. And today we have with us our chief guest, Honorable Justice Mr. Bechu Kurian Thomas. He's a very, very busy person. In fact, he readily agreed to our invitation. Our president took the initiative and invited him. So he readily agreed and came here and spoke to us on this very important topic. So on behalf of everyone present here, I would like to extend our sincere thanks to him. And as a token of our love and affection and appreciation, we would like to present the memento also. Thank you, sir. We have with us our very dashing Mr. Chetan Kumar Meena IAS. In fact, he told me immediately after this function, he's going for a swimming session. So I'll add on to that. So definitely his presence has enriched our understanding levels. So on behalf of everyone present here, let me thank him and request our president to hand over a memento to Mr. Chetan Kumar Menon. Yes. Thank you, sir. Of course, we have the presence of Advocate Sandhya Raju, Director CCRRA. She is the founder of CCRRA. She also gave us very different perspectives, which are really useful for our future course of action. On behalf of the managing committee members and the team present here, I would like to extend a hearty thanks to Madam and request the President to hand over the memento to Advocate Sandhya Raju. So of course, our President has taken initiative for this. As you know, this year KMA, a lot of innovative programs. Almost every week we have programs. So very dashing and dynamic President. Very special thanks to our President also. Of course, our honorary Joint Secretary is here. Mr. Dilip, he travels a lot, but he finds a lot of time for KMA activities. I would like to especially thank him also. Of course, to all the KMA members who are present here. Before I go to that, let me make one more announcement. This is regarding the upcoming programs in KMA. On 8th of December, we have a book release. It is Afterness, Home and Away by Dr. Ashok Ganguly. He is the former Hindustan Unilever chairman. So this is an online as well as a digital, I'd say physical come digital program on 8th of December. And very special thanks to Mr. B.R. Nair. I think he's not here. He only took the initiative to get this speaker here. So let us listen to this speaker. I was told it's a very different, innovative type of book. So let us listen to the speaker on 8th of December 2022. Another second event, that is a very big event, that's the flagship program of KMA, the 40th KMA Annual National Management Convention. That is scheduled on 12th and 13th of January 2023 at Grand Hyatt Hotel. And the theme for this year's conference is the next generation of communication and its impact on businesses. As you know, this is a flagship program. We are expecting more than 1,000 delegates. It is a 2-day event. It starts in the afternoon, say by 4 o'clock, etc., and runs into a dinner program. And next day, full day event. So please give this information to your colleagues, your friends, and let us assemble in large numbers and get the best advantage. We are getting international speakers, national speakers for this big event. So let's together make this a big memorable program. So once again, I would like to thank all of you, all the members, MC members, executive committee members, and the KMA secretary team was very active under the leadership of Jojo, Rajit, everyone. So thank you to each one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for that. And with this, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
No.